Savage. I'm the co-director of the Civic Innovation Lab at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM. And today I will be presenting to you a little bit about my work and responding to a series of questions that I was asked, interview questions.
How did you come to social computing? What was the spark that got you interested?
So my background is I studied at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, computer engineering. And then I did my PhD in computer science at the University of California, Santa Barbara. Now, within my PhD studies, I was taking a networking class. And through this networking class, the professor was Ben Sao, and I got exposed to the area of social computing. And what I really liked about social computing was that I realized that it was a really good way through which you could study populations. You become a computational anthropologist. And I realized that this was a way to historically document what was going on within these different countries. And so I found it very empowering to now be able to give a voice to what was happening in Mexico. And so I started studying, for instance, how militia groups were opposing and fighting the drug cartels. And I felt that this was important because a lot of the news was not addressing how citizens were having to organize on social media to fight back against the drug cartels. And so I felt that through social computing, I was giving a voice to citizens, and then we can use these findings to build systems that can better support them and address their needs. And then I also started discovering that through social computing, you can also start to build systems that address citizens' needs better, that are helping them to better organize, to fight back, for instance, these types of drug cartels and be able to cover the needs of their community better. And so these two aspects was what got me really excited about social computing.
What are you most excited about right now in what you are doing?
I'm going to share really quickly some slides that discuss what am I working on currently. So currently what I have been looking at is thinking about how we can use social computing and AI to empower workers. Now, on one hand, artificial intelligence has been displacing workers from their job and it has been removing them from their livelihood. I then started to think about, well, couldn't we use artificial intelligence to empower workers? Currently, a lot of AI is used more for businesses. How do we help businesses to work faster and better? And so I started thinking, you know what, let's step back. Let's think about instead how we can use AI for people who are in difficult situations. So how do we use AI to help workers who might have been displaced by their jobs, who might currently not have any other livelihoods? And so I argue that in order to empower workers, in order to use artificial intelligence to empower workers, we need to do it from the bottom. We need to facilitate that workers can collaborate with each other to reach the different goals that they want and through which they can build the societies that they want to see. So I propose the following architecture where, given a goal that workers want to reach, I'm going to computationally organize workers to reach their different goals. And now part of this can include helping workers to coach each other so that they can develop their skills. And through my studies, I have shown that through these types of systems, we can actually help workers to become faster and better at their job. This is develop their skills. I've also started to use this to now think about how we could computationally organize workers to increase their salaries. So again, thinking about how we could help workers to be organized so that they can share strategies and work methods to earn a higher hourly wage. And I was able to show again that through my systems that intelligently learn the best ways for organizing workers, we are able to increase workers' salary. I've then also been studying about how we can organize people for different social good endeavors. So at these first two that I presented, you could think about them as, okay, I'm helping workers reach their different goals. One is skill development. The other is helping workers to earn higher salaries. But potentially, we could also use these types of systems to help people reach different goals that they want. For instance, build infrastructure for the blind that help blind people better navigate indoors. And so Here, this is a system that I developed where basically I'm organizing people to install sensors throughout buildings that can then communicate to the cell phone of blind individuals and help them to better navigate indoors. I've also been using my systems to design computational methods through which we can help people to fight disinformation and impose themselves to disinformation. And now I'm back. And so that's currently what I'm very excited about. It's basically these systems for empowering workers and helping people to reach their collective goals.
You were awarded by the MIT as one of the most talented young innovators in Latin America who are developing technologies to address pressing issues faced by society. Can you tell us more about this experience?
So I was recently named one of the 35 Innovators Under 35 by the MIT Tech Review for my collective action systems. This is my systems where I'm organizing crowds to take action for their communities in different ways. One, to fight corruption, to fight disinformation, to build infrastructure for the blind. Recently, I also won a $2.5 million NSF grant. And here I'm focused on organizing rural crowds to develop their skills and access new types of jobs. Because a lot of rural communities have been displaced from their jobs and have been basically forgotten. And so here I'm focusing on systems that will help them find new job opportunities. Another type of impact that my research has had is that I am constantly publishing in top conferences and venues, such as ACM-Chi, ACM-CSCW, the Web Conference, WWW, ACM-DIS, Assets, and in several of these conferences, I've also won honorable mentions for my research. My research has also been covered by the New York Times, the BBC, the Deutsche Welle, Wired Magazine. I opened up the research area of human-computer interaction in rural West Virginia. And here I have focused a lot on developing tools to empower the rural workers in the region to access new types of jobs, as I mentioned before. And I see this as a really good opportunity to see how we can use the advancements that we've had in computing, not just to, recently it has been mainly for displacing workers. I'm focused on empowering workers. I've also had the honor of collaborating with presidencies and governments across Latin America, very much so in Mexico. And here I'm focused on helping these governments adopt a human-centered design approach. I would argue that this has significant impact because governments a lot of the times are producing technology that can impact millions of citizens. And so by helping governments to adopt a human-centered design approach, I am empowering the region to design new types of services that can better cover citizens' needs. And so I'm really helping also governments to rethink their relationships that they have with citizens through technology.
What is the biggest obstacle you face right now?
So I would argue that as a Latina in computer science, one of the biggest challenges is that you're a double minority. So on one hand, you are a woman, and on the other hand, you're Hispanic, which both are not as common in computer science. And why this is a challenge is because given that you're a double minority, it means that a lot of the times when you're navigating the space, you have to navigate with people who might have certain stereotypes about what you can or cannot do. So I'm going to share a quick story about when I was little. So when I was in the 6th grade, I was highly creative. I was constantly writing screenplays and then acting out the plays to all of my classmates. And so I was extremely creative. I was doing art. I was doing different types of art and distributing it to other people and sharing. I was investing a lot of time in the art that I was producing. Now, my 6th grade teacher called my parents up and said that she was very worried about me. The teacher basically said to my parents that I didn't have the mental capacity to go off and do a normal middle school because I was extremely bad at math. And so, yes, I was highly creative and great at humanities, such as writing my screenplays and then acting them out. But the problem was that I didn't have the mental capacity to do normal math. And so she recommended to my parents that they send me to a humanities-based middle school where I would have to deal with math because I wasn't prepared for it. Now, after that after that teacher parent meeting, my mom came home and she talked with me and she said, you know, the teacher believes that you are really bad at math. You need to practice math. Now, my mother didn't say anything about you're not going to make it in middle school. You don't have the mental capacity to pass a normal middle school. My mother simply said, you need to practice math. And I think that this was very helpful because my mom didn't limit me into the box that my teacher was putting me in. And so you could see the event as my teacher couldn't visualize me as succeeding in math. She put me in a particular box where I was just focused on humanities. There is nothing wrong with just focusing on humanities, but what is wrong is putting people in boxes, especially at a very young age. I was, 11? And my teacher was, at a very young age, putting me in a box and telling me what I could not and could not do. And I would argue that as a Latina in technology, in engineering field, in a math field, you get that a lot. You get a lot where people are coming up to you and stating to you what you can or what you cannot do based on stereotypes, biases that they have. In this case, what happened was that the teacher was correct that I wasn't the best at math. I had never actually failed math, but I wasn't the best. And so the advice that my mother gave me was actually very useful because I practiced. I practiced math a lot. So after school, I would now, instead of going off into my plays, I would now practice math, do math exercises, just practice math. And I went to a normal high school. And what happened was that I actually became the best student in my class at math. And so the teacher was wrong. I was able to succeed in a normal middle school, and not only succeed in a normal middle school, actually go up to the top of the class in math.
What advice would you give to a young student in computing to be successful?
And so I think that some of the advice that I would share with young Latinas and any type of minority is that it's true that many times you will face people that don't believe in you, that have stereotypes about what you can or cannot do. And here it is very important that you believe in yourself, that you define by yourself who you are, and you don't let other people put you in boxes. If I had let the teacher put me in a box at a very young age, that I was 11 years old, I would have never studied an engineering career as an undergraduate. I would have never gone off and studied a PhD in computer science if I had listened to that teacher. And there was nothing wrong with being in humanities, again, as I mentioned, but what is wrong is limiting yourself to what one particular person believes that you can or cannot do. And I would argue that me being in a technology field, having known that I can be strong in humanities is actually very helpful for me. Why? Because on one hand, I feel actually that in general, I'm a very good presenter. And I feel I'm a very good presenter because I always think, oh yeah, I used to do screenplays. I used to be an actress. So I can definitely create a strong presentation since I have that humanities background in me. But I am not going to let other people define me. And so as you're advancing your career, I think that it's important for you to define by yourself who you are. And don't let other people put you in any type of boxes and limit what you can or cannot do. Thank you.